Today's reading will be from Psalms chapter 9, verse 9 through 11. The Lord is a refuge for the oppressed, a stronghold in times of trouble. Those who know your name trust in you. For you, Lord, have never forsaken those who seek you. Sing the praises of the Lord, enthroned in Zion. Proclaim among the nations what he has done.
Thanks, Aiden. Good morning. I was giggling. That's my son. And one of the best things ever was that he got to go on a trip with me to Honduras for the first time. And then I'll stop talking because I'll cry. So my name's Jason Pearl, and I'm going to give a report on the trip that we took to Honduras. We came back, I guess it was about 2 weeks ago. On a Tuesday, and we'll go through that. And I want to make sure we set this up the right way. That verse just talked about proclaiming what God has done, and that's exactly what we're here to do today. I'm not dressed really for a sermon. I'm a little casual, but that's okay because I'm not preaching. I'm here to testify. I'm here to testify what God has done, not what we did. I like to think of it as an artist or a skilled carpenter or something like that. When there's a painting that's done or a beautiful table that was made, we never praise the hammer. We never praise the brush. We praise the artist. And that's who we're here to honor today, although it's really fun to be used in a powerful way. So it's fun to be the hammer. So be a tool. It's a cool way of saying that. And that's why the back of our shirts say servant. It could say tool, but we might get teased. I realize there's probably a lot of people here that don't know about Mission Lazarus. So I wanted to spend a few minutes and explain what Mission Lazarus is, why we've partnered with them. This is our 6th year working with Mission Lazarus. So in 2004, Mission Lazarus was established in Honduras by Jared and Allison Brown. And there's the biggest reason I think that we've partnered and felt such a great relationship with them is that it wasn't one specific thing that they were looking to accomplish and then just did that. They are truly spirit-led. And wherever God has been directing them to go, that's where they've gone. And we've seen that over and over again with Mission Lazarus. They've put in a program, it didn't work or get funded, and they've moved on. They've moved into areas that they never imagined that they would have over the past 12 years. So right now, the core of what Mission Lazarus does is around their refuge. They house 48 kids right now. And it's not an orphanage, it's a home. And that's where these kids are raised. They're raised by Hondurans, they're taught by Hondurans, and they're loved by Hondurans. And we have very, very little interaction with them. And that's on purpose. It's so that when those kids grow up and finish school and go to university, that they're going to stay in Honduras and make a difference there in their community. They sponsor 28 different churches in southern Honduras, and those are the people that we work with, those communities and those churches. So there's 28, and we now sponsor one of those. There's vocational schools that Mission Lazarus runs, the leather school, a carpentry school, boot making, and a sewing school that they run. And what happens is those kids will come in, they get to learn a skill, and at the same time, they'll alternate days, then go to school and be able to get an education. That's a big deal in Honduras. Most kids are leaving school after the 3rd or 4th grade so they can go out and work and help support their family. It's important for them to stay in school. There's 3 medical clinics that Mission Lazarus runs. They have nutrition programs, women's health program, and they also have groups come in and do medical brigades throughout the year too. One of their big deals right now is the social enterprise that Mission Lazarus runs. It's leather products, things like this Bible. You'll see, or the boots that some of us have worn. And they also own and operate a coffee farm. And that's a big deal to me, because I am a coffee nerd. And they own and operate a 1,200-acre ranch in Honduras, and that's where we get to stay whenever we go and work with Mission Lazarus. Some of the things we've seen them change over the years where I feel they are Spirit-led. When we first started going, there were U.S. volunteers. Most of them were college kids that would intern for a summer or commit to working with Mission Lazarus for 3 to 5 years, and they would help organize groups and help run the ranch. There's no more Americans there. They employ Hondurans now that live there full time. They're from Choluteca, they're from San Marcos, and they help run the groups. They act as our translators, and they help run the ranch there in Mission Lazarus, and that's been a big deal. And the programs, the things that our groups work on has changed over the years, and that's on purpose. Early on, we would do food deliveries where we would buy basically a month's worth of groceries, and there were some years I think we bought 50 sacks and would just go out into villages and hand them out to people, show up at someone's home and give them a month's worth of groceries, or build a home for a church member. And those programs have kind of gone away from that, just helping out one individual and looking more towards a bigger picture where we're trying to help a whole community by putting in latrines. That's not real, doesn't sound as fun, but it's a big deal there to have a working latrine. The health it helps greatly there to do things like that. And then Jared told me once this past year that their programs now are in place to try and change Honduras. And if the group coming gets something really good out of it, then that's an extra benefit. But that's not what they're there for. This isn't built for our team to come in and feel great about this thing that we've done. We're part of a bigger picture that's going on there. And at least I've bought into it. And every year we go and we get to see some of these things that Mission Lazarus does. It's a reminder that we're a piece of this bigger pie that's going on. And God is doing some things in southern Honduras, and he's using Mission Lazarus to do it. So that's a quick rundown on what's going on with Mission Lazarus. So we had 9 people go this year, and I think they're all here except for Jonathan. Jonathan was mentioned in our prayer who fell, and I'm prayerful that he's all right. So if you go from right to left, we have Jerry and Zach Sizemore. Jonathan Nickel, he's the one in orange who fell. Aiden and myself, Ann and Janelle and Sophia and Aaron. That was our team this year. Oh, and before I forget, these t-shirts you're seeing some of us wear, I have 4 extra ones. I have an extra large, 2 mediums, and a small. And if you would like to make any donation you would like towards our mission work, see me afterwards and I'll get you a shirt. And before I get into the work that we did while we were there, this is a picture of the church building we worked on in 2015. When we left, this is what it looked like. And the work we did is kind of hard to tell. Where all those sticks are in the front, we poured the foundation that was down there. It was like a 20 by 20 square foot foundation and about 3.5 feet deep. And all we did was pour concrete the whole time. And over on the right-hand side, you can make out some little forms of wood going up. We poured 3 columns that were going to support a bell tower. So when we got to the ranch, that's what it looks like now. So that was what they were able to accomplish in a year. Our work didn't look as grand, But they took what we did and made it look good. So that was really neat to see this is on the Mission Lazarus Ranch. So some of the beams that you guys worked on last year, that's what it's supporting now, and they're meeting there in that church building now. So we flew down on Tuesday morning. We left at 6 a.m. I think by the time we got to the ranch, it was 4 or 4:30 local time, so it's about 12 hours in total between flying time and then driving from Tegucigalpa to get to the ranch. And so Tuesday basically is all travel, and we get to hang around at the ranch, eat dinner, and then get ready for the next day. Our first full day there on Wednesday, in the morning we don't head to the work site right away. This is when we get a little tour of what Mission Lazarus does. So that morning, this is one of the children's homes that is at the refuge, and they all look identical to this. I think each home can have 8 kids in it, and they'll have 2 house mothers, or they'll call them tias, aunts, that will take care of the kids, but this is where they live year-round. So we got a quick tour of the ranch. This is the vocational school, the carpentry school. Actually, no, the kids were there. They were in class when we got the tour of the actual school, but this is where they'll learn those carpentry skills. That's another shot of the school. Marcos, I'll have a picture of him later. He runs the vocational school. This is where the leather work vocational school is. They were making tote bags when we were there. They're all paid about 30% higher than what fair trade is, or what would be a normal minimum wage in Honduras. That's a big deal there. These guys actually get a trade that they can use for a lifetime when they're there, and we got to tour and meet a bunch of the kids that were there. After we finished the tour, we got to go to our work site, and I want to introduce you to Norma. Norma was hired this year to be the coffee farm manager, and that is a huge deal. For a female to be hired to run a coffee farm in southern Honduras is a big, big deal. She's the only one in southern Honduras that is managing a farm. And farming, especially coffee farming, is in her blood, and we found this out the more we got to know her. The prior manager of the farm was her dad, and she grew up around this farm. And then later on, I'll show some pictures, we met her aunt, who lives about 10 minutes down the road, and her aunt was showing off her garden. So when we got to see all that, we knew this is in her blood. And she's gone to university and studied agriculture, so that it's exciting to be a part of this. But this is who we're building a home for this year. She's going to live right there on the coffee farm, and we were building a house for her. And every day, she would brew coffee. She would roast it on top of a little stove that was wood-fired, and she would grind the beans with sugar cane together, just kind of do it right together, and then brew it all at once. It was really neat. I wasn't choking up because of the coffee thing. I call this place the Promised Land, but that's just my own thing. So this is a picture of the home that we were building for her. Turns out when I get pictures from everyone, we all kind of did the same thing. No one thought to take a picture before we actually started working on the house. This was after a full day of work. This was day 2. But when we got there, the concrete slab was poured, and and the guys had just gotten the frames up, and we were nailing them down to the slab. So day one, we got the frames up and got the roof truss on and started with the poles around the side that were going to be the porch. So we had already made some progress here by the time you see what it looks like there, but that's the house. These are our bosses. The guy on the left is Marcos. He's the one that runs the carpentry school. He's the master carpenter. So he was our boss for the week, and it was amazing to watch him, especially on the roof, because we called him the cat. The guy just would run around the roof with no hesitation and just a board, but could hammer, nail, do everything, give instructions, all while he's walking around just up on the roof. It would kind of make you nervous, but he's really good. And the other guy in the picture on the right is Fabrizio, and we called him that because no one could say his first name. They just told us, don't even try, just he's Fabrizio. He graduated from the carpentry school, and now he's working as a carpenter, and he was on the work site. And I didn't get a picture of him with it, but that guy could use a chainsaw like we would use any other saw, like a regular chop saw. He would make marks and get the chainsaw and cut this thing and it'd be perfectly square. It was fun to watch him do things like that. So just a few pictures of the work site. We were putting up the siding and the boards around the porch. They're going to pour a concrete porch around. We didn't get to do that with them, but that'll be nice when it's all finished, and I'm sure we'll get a picture of that next year. We'll get to get a good look at it. We sent the only two that were really willing to go up on the roof were Zach and Sophia, so we sent them up. I think they asked Jerry and I, and we were like, nah, you guys can go. We're all right. Let those guys go. They really seem to enjoy it, so they were the ones that got to go up. We had windows and doors in by the time that we left, and you could see the roof is going on now. Every day we would get to break for lunch. This spot that we're sitting at is actually where they process the coffee. After they pick the red cherries off the tree, that thing that looks like a roof over us is really like a deck, and it has an opening in top, and they'll dump the cherries in, and then this machine will depulp the cherries, strip off the fruit. The fruit goes off to one side, and all the seeds come down on another. There's still a little bit of fruit on it, so those things that we're sitting on are actually like big tubs where they'll soak the coffee in water. It'll ferment in there for like I think 8 to 12 hours or so, and then the rest of the fruit will come off that coffee seed, and then they'll lay it out to dry. So we would break for lunch and hang out there, have a cup of coffee. They also would brew this stuff, lemongrass tea, where they would grow the lemongrass there, and she would brew us, and man, that was like, it was like drinking a lemon drop, a hot lemon drop. It was, boy, it was really good. And this is us at the end with the work that we finished, the roof on, some siding stuff, and the windows, and so that was a great time. Our work was every morning, so we worked Wednesday afternoon, Thursday morning, Friday morning, and Saturday morning. We would break for lunch, and then we would do a VBS in the afternoon. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday is when we would get to do a VBS. And this was a fun, cool thing to do, even though none of us spoke Spanish. This is embarrassing. Zach's called me out on it a couple times during the trip. How many years have you been doing this and you still can't speak Spanish? It's been a long time, and for some reason my brain just, I can't do it. So I'll fumble through just simple little things, but it was a unique challenge to get to teach with the kids. Our VBS lesson was on Joseph. We asked them if they had ever heard of the story of Joseph, and they all stared blankly at you, no. So we went through the story of Joseph. And one thing that we wanted to let them know, and we had our translators with us, is that try and communicate to them why we were there. So we told the story of some kids that God wanted to know that he cared for. And God told this group of people, I have some special kids that I want them to know that I love them. So I want you to go and tell them that. And the people in the story said, well, we don't speak Spanish and they're far away. And God said, no, I'll give you someone to help tell the story, and I'll help get you there. And we explained that you guys are the kids. You're the special kids that God loves. And he sent us all the way over here just to tell you that. And I'm hoping that they totally understood what we were saying. The first day, it is funny, the first day we get there and we start telling the story and we go through the crafts, they sat there just kind of, who are these strange people? And, were really not open to us. But the thing that opens them all up is soccer. Once we got the soccer balls out, that was it. We were their best friends, and the guards came down, and some of the kids, when we would ask them, are you going to come back tomorrow? The one kid asked me, are you going to have a soccer ball? I said, yeah, we are. And he said, I'll be back tomorrow. So once we got that out, that was a lot of fun. And I'll tell you what, I'm a grown man, and there were a few of these kids that I knew I was afraid of. I was supposed to be goalie the one day, and every time this one kid got the ball, I was worried because he would nail that thing, and it was coming at you hard and fast, and I was thinking, this kid's really going to hurt me, and he's this tall. They were really, really good, and we had a lot of fun. For something that I'm not comfortable doing, I don't play soccer, I never have, but it was a lot of fun, and that really helped open up our relationship with them, even though we don't speak the language. So this was a picture of all of us on the last day. So we had about 40 to 45 kids come each day. The last day there was a little bit less, but we were told there was a big town fair going on. So we lost some kids to the town fair. One thing that it's hard to wrap your head around is if I had more video or time to show all the pictures to try and explain how remote this area is. We would leave the ranch in the morning. It would take a little over an hour to get there, and the entire drive is a dirt road going up a mountain. And it's four-wheel drive the whole time. There were a couple of times we were in four-wheel low just to get going up there. And you don't pass house after house after house where you see neighborhoods there. We would see one house, and then 30 minutes later you see some other little house. So where all these kids came from kind of blows your mind. This school is not far from the farm, and I didn't pass any houses there. Where are they all coming from? There's these little villages and homes that are just tucked away, way up in the mountains, and these kids are walking to get there because they hear of a VBS, or they're walking there to go to school. That's where they go to school. And we're told some of them are walking 2 hours, some of them are walking 3 hours. On that same road that I needed to use a four-wheel drive low on, they're walking there. And they're showing up in whatever their best outfit is. the first day we get to meet them and we see some kids, and we're like, wow, that's a nice looking dress that little girl's wearing, or those are some sharp shoes that boy has on. And then the next day, you see him in the exact same outfit. And then the third day, you see him in the exact same outfit. That's the best that they have. And they want to look their best when they're coming to meet you at VBS. So some of the things we might not realize on the surface or think about on the surface, like how they're getting there, or what they're wearing, or what they ate that day, isn't always real obvious to us. But when it's pointed out to you, it really, I think, blows your mind on the things that we have and that maybe we take for granted. And I didn't hear this specifically about all these kids, but almost every area that we visited in, the stories are real similar, where most of these kids are having one good meal a day. That's what they're getting. So it's painful for us to think about that sometimes, but we should also use that as motivation to do more, to be able to support Mission Lazarus in a greater way. We're only there 1 week, but Mission Lazarus is there all the time. And the programs that they're running are trying to get these kids more meals per day, get them through school. Don't let them drop out when they're this size. We don't want them to drop out now and just go work on a farm somewhere. I think the average salary down there is a little less than $2 a day. That's what most kids or even adults will make there. But if you get better educated and get a usable skill, you're already in a much greater place. So to be a part of that is a big deal. It's a big deal for us. Paul mentioned it a little during his prayer. One of the things that's new this year, and for us with our relationship with Mission Lazarus, is that we're sponsoring a congregation now. The congregation is called Portillo Grande, and it's about 5 minutes away from the coffee farm. And it's a newer church that was established there. And this is the preacher and his family that we're beginning a relationship with. So it's been 6 years. So the first 5 years that we worked with Mission Lazarus, most of our projects were just around whatever Mission Lazarus needed done. We've worked on a road, we've worked on a church building at their ranch, just whatever area they wanted, and we've worshiped and visited other congregations. But this year, we said we want to bring this to a different level, and let's start a relationship with a congregation. So we started sponsoring this congregation this year, and then we got to meet Joseph and his family. From left to right, it's Joseph Jr., Joseph. The little guy is Benjamin. The wife is Naomi. And the son on the right, I have to, Estras. I'm saying it wrong. But that's the family we got to meet and worship with on Sunday. One really neat thing, the son on the right, Estras, he got to lead songs and head up communion when we were there Sunday. And we need him leading songs here. You should see how, the whole time he was singing, I've explained this a couple of times, his eyes are closed and his hand is on his heart, and he's just so into it, and he's yelling at everyone to sing louder. Más fuerte. And just, one more time. So there's a little bits of Spanish I get. I can understand what he was saying. He was saying, sing that verse one more time, and I wanted to hear it louder. He was just so passionate and into that worship service. I wish I could sing in Spanish to answer his call when we were there, but he's definitely following in his father's footsteps. I imagine him preaching in a year or two. So this is the church building that's not far from the farm. And this is another one. We saw one guy getting to church riding a horse. He rode a horse down the mountain to get there, and then other people are walking, just kind of showing up. There's no homes right near there. It's unbelievable. So people will walk for hours. I think the last report that I got, and when we were there, the numbers were pretty close to the same. There's about 40 to 45 people meeting there, and I don't know, 15 to 20 kids. They let the kids come out, and they were doing something in the back. We could hear them yelling and doing stuff. They have a children's worship, kind of like we do here. So they were doing something in the back. So that was a real neat experience to get to worship with them on Sunday. So Sunday we didn't do any work. We finished that on Saturday. Sunday's our day to relax. So after church, we get to we ate lunch at the coffee farm, and Norma, who's down there near the bottom, said, "Oh, would you guys like to see something really amazing?" And I said, "Yeah." So she took us on a hike, and for most of it we drove, but then at the end we hiked up to these two mountain peaks that are above the coffee farm. And from up on top of those peaks, you're standing in Honduras, you could see Nicaragua and El Salvador. And she said if it was clear, you could see the ocean. So we took a hike up there. I wasn't going to do it, and my son Aiden went up, and then I had to do it. So once he said, "Man, once he did it, I have to now." But it was worth it. Once we got up there, it was gorgeous. And the pictures can't capture what that looked like. This is Amelia. She has coordinated our group trips for the past 2 years, and she was our guide during the week. She was our translator. Amelia kind of does it all. So basically any question we had, we talked to Amelia, or even leading up to the trip, any question I had, I talked to Amelia about the work, where we were going to visit, anything. She was an incredible guide. And she's from Choluteca originally, I think lives in San Marcos, right near the ranch now, and is one of those examples that Mission Lazarus is making a difference by providing work for Hondurans in the area. I actually forgot to mention, right now they have 120 full-time employees at Mission Lazarus, and they're all Honduran. And that's a big deal. One other neat thing that we got to do that I didn't get a picture of is all the workers that work there at the ranch, they'll have a devotional every morning. So they meet in the warehouse, and Monday, before we were getting ready to pack up and drive back to Tegucigalpa, we got to go to their morning devotional, and they're just a big, big group. All the workers having a devotional. I was thinking, man, what kind of workplace is that? That's a really neat thing. My workplace doesn't do that. You get there and you just need to start working, but that was a neat thing for us to experience. So besides providing employment and all those kind of practical things, Mission Lazarus is feeding people spiritually. All right, the next treat we got, when we left the mountain, we had seen some baskets that were at the coffee farm, and when I asked Norma about it, she said her aunt and a women's group makes these baskets, and we could drive by her house on the way back. So we got to visit Norma's aunt, and this is her house with our trucks in the background. She grows coffee. She had an apple tree. She had strawberries, blackberries, passion fruit. There were beans. What am I missing? Am I get it all? And we ate everything. We ate it all. We had apples scooping out the passion fruit. We tried the strawberries, the blackberries. Well, we did everything but try her coffee, I guess. But really beautiful gardens back there, and we see where some of those family talents come from. So that was an extra treat for us on our way back. The baskets, I have that. This is the baskets that we were talking about, and you have to come check this out after service. These baskets are made from pine needles. So Norma's aunt and a group of women, there's tons of pine trees there, they'll gather up these pine needles and sew them together really tight and make these baskets. And it was blowing our minds when you come see this. I asked her how long it took her to make this one. She said 3 days. It takes her 3 days to make this. When I asked her how much it was, she said $17. So someone can work for 3 days and ask for $17 for this, and was thrilled. I mean, I gave her 20, and I was thinking, man, you should ask for more. But a really neat skill that some of these folks have. So if you want to check it out after, I could have gotten a neater picture of it, but we were trying to be like the local Hondurans. Someone said, do it just like that lady did at the farm where they were carrying a whole big thing. So we tried doing that. Just to give you a quick flavor of what it is what it's like to stay at the ranch. This is called the Posada. This is the spot where you hang out when you're at the Mission Lazarus Ranch. This is where we would eat breakfast. It's where we would eat dinner, and then after dinner, sit around and hang out, drink coffee. They would have at least 5 or 6 pots of coffee going at the same time because it's all coming from the farm down the road. So you would just hang out there. Just a beautiful area to be able to sit and relax. This is also on the ranch. This is the store where they'll sell some of their leather goods and things from their vocational schools when we're at the ranch. So we would stop by there. And just hiking, looking around the ranch. This is from Prayer Rock. If you think of the Lion King, this big giant rock overlooking the valley, that's kind of what this is like, and that's Aiden's Rock, he called it. That's his spot. And I don't like the kids getting close to the edge. It always freaks me out, but it's a neat spot to stand and look out at how big and neat the ranch is. This is sort of a shot of what our ride was normally looking like. These are the roads we're on all the time. I was going to try and include a video, but it's too bouncy. I think everyone would have gotten seasick. To me, that's part of the fun of these trips, the adventure of driving along these roads and things like that. Jerry and I had a lot of fun driving the trucks. We would take turns. And there's like 2 different roads to get to the farm. One was man, this is dicey. And the other one's, well, that's all right. And we would go back and forth on which road we were taking. I think it's fun. And I think that's part of the lure of getting to go there. This is us just getting ready. So Tuesday is all travel. And then we did our work Wednesday to Saturday. Sunday is our fun at the coffee farm and adventure up on the mountain, and Monday is drive back to Tegucigalpa and get ready to leave Tuesday morning. So that was us getting ready to leave. This is the airport in Tegucigalpa, getting a walk out to the plane. And this is the other, what I think is part of the fun. The picture on the right is the runway. I happened to be at a window seat where the plane was turning. There aren't other little runways. It's all just that one. So you drive, the plane rides down to the end, does a big turn, and then goes back and takes off. So while it was making the turn, I got to get a shot of, this is why it's the adventure. If you can see that mountain at the end of the runway, that's what you're taking off towards. So when you take off, they yank that stick back and you go right up to get over that thing. And I think it's awesome. If you like an adventure, that's part of the fun in Honduras. So to wrap things up, there's a lot of ways that you can choose to serve or love others or act as God's hands, feet, or voice. What I would encourage all of you to do is, if you're a member here, find a way to get involved with Mission Lazarus. Find a way, whether it's going on the trip or supporting the services that they give to us, like the coffee, or through the vocational schools or the church that we're sponsoring, things like that. Even the work that we do there is work that is possible for any age group. Every year I get a few that say, I can't handle a work site like that. And after the first day, everyone finds a spot where they can do something and contribute. We have a master carpenter there. He's not going to let us put together a house that's going to fall down or anything like that. They tell us what to do. We're there to carry the boards and make things easier for him. That's really our job. It's not to be a master carpenter. We're to be able to spend time with those kids and let them know that God does care for them in some small way. There's roles that we can all play a part in. And if you haven't experienced allowing God to use you in some great way, to be that brush or to be that hammer or things like that, I would encourage you to try it. And it doesn't have to be at Mission Lazarus. It could be at Camp Manatawny. It could be in your neighborhood. There's so many ways. You just have to open yourself up to that. I think this gives us a way to practice it without all the other distractions around. This trip should just encourage us to do more things at home. This isn't the answer to, or the way to be a Christian just for this 1 week that we're there. It really should just be training for how I'm going to act when I get home. When I realize how rich I am, and when I'm visiting these families in Honduras, that should change how I'm acting when I get home. How do I view all the things that God has blessed me with? Should I keep storing them up, or should I use those things in a greater way? Let him use me to bless others. I think that's the lesson that we get from these kind of trips. And if you don't know Christ at all, man, you gotta get to know him, because this world is giving us a lie. It's telling us that your job is what's most important, the kind of car you have is most important, all these other things, like we talked about in Bible class on Sunday or this morning. And that's a lie. If you haven't experienced him or let God in and become a Christian and fully embrace him, man, I would not hesitate. You should do it now. You should do it this morning. Maybe you could do it while we stand and sing. Thanks for all your time.